In this video, you will learn how to use apostrophes. We really use apostrophes to serve two main functions in our writing. The first is to create possessives, or to allow us to show ownership with a noun rather than having to create a prepositional phrase. To form the possessive of most singular nouns, we just add an apostrophe and an S. Aaron's house, the mouse's cookie, the teacher's lecture, the book's cover. This is pretty straightforward. With singular nouns, we really just need to remember to actually write the apostrophe. The importance of the apostrophe is to help us differentiate between possessives and plurals. So while in the first two examples, Aaron's and mouse, we know without the apostrophe that it's plural. With teachers and books, we don't. So the apostrophe helps us communicate that meaning very clearly to our readers. When you're forming the possessive of a singular noun that ends in an S or a Z sound, the rules are slightly different. So again, it's a singular noun that ends in S or Z sound. You add only an apostrophe if the following two conditions are both met. First, the noun has more than one syllable. And second, the addition of an S would make the noun awkward to pronounce. So the rule here is kind of helping guide pronunciation. So the idea is that if we add an extra S to some of these nouns, it's going to sound strange. So here are a couple of examples. I like to use my name because it's a perfect example, Ms. Hastings' class. If we added an extra S, we would pronounce it Hastings's. And that's not how we say it. And it really has to do with the sound, the ending S sound. It's a harder S, almost a Z sound. So because of that, we just add the apostrophe. The same is true with the word series, the series episodes. The apostrophe helps us know that it's singular. If we added the S, it would say serieses, which is, again, doesn't sound right. It's awkward. And the species characteristics, same idea there. If we add an extra S after it, then it reads species's, which again sounds awkward. To form the possessive of a plural noun that ends in S, we add only an apostrophe. The kids' game, the city's water quality, the coach's decisions. When we're using possessive pronouns, we don't use an apostrophe. This is because those words already mean possession. When we're adding an apostrophe S, we're changing a noun, kind of changing the meaning of it to make it not just the noun itself, but an ownership noun. With possessive pronouns, we don't need to change the meaning because the word already means possession. So we don't add apostrophes or S's to these words. And here they are in case you're wondering. The singular possessive pronouns mine, yours, his, hers, its, and the plural ours, yours, and theirs. These words are already possessive, so we do not add apostrophes to them. Indefinite pronouns, however, are slightly different, and if you're not sure what indefinite pronouns are, then I suggest you go back and watch the video on pronouns, because that's going to review what those are. Quickly, indefinite pronouns are those that refer to a generalized person or group. It's not specific, that's why it's indefinite. And here we do need to add the apostrophe S, because while they're pronouns, they're not possessive. It's only the possessive pronouns that we don't add apostrophe S to. Here are a few examples. Anyone's guess, everyone's time, and somebody's phone. Anyone, everyone, somebody are all examples of indefinite pronouns. And again, we do need to add the apostrophe S to show ownership with these words. When we are looking at compounds, there are a few different rules. When you have a compound noun, and this includes a business or organization, as well as when you are showing joint ownership of something. So it's two or more people own one thing, then you form the possessive of only the last word in that group. So this is what it looks like. Some compound nouns. My sister-in-law's house. Only at the end. The Little League's rules. At the end. Joint possession. Shannon and Mallory's project. Meaning Shannon and Mallory are working together. There's one project. So I only add the apostrophe S to the last word. The same thing with George and Lenny's dream. It's one dream that they share. Apostrophe S only goes with the second word. When you have a possessive pronoun that's part of the group showing joint possession, the rule is slightly different. Here you actually have to add the apostrophe S to any noun in the word group. So it's Andrew's and her decision. Lila's and my conversation. So here both are possessive. Then when you have a group and have individualized possession or ownership, maybe you're talking about the same item, but each person has their own, then you put the apostrophe S on each noun. So again, it's easier to see here, Gina's and Carlos's phones. Gina and Carlos don't share a phone, they each have a phone, but maybe I want to communicate that both of those phones need to be turned off. And there I need to put the apostrophe S on both nouns because it's two different phones. Kyle's and Abby's acceptances, same idea here. I'm talking about the concept of acceptance, maybe an acceptance letter, and Kyle and Abby each have their own individual acceptance. So to communicate that it's not a shared item, that it's individual, I put an apostrophe S after each noun, and I make sure that I keep the word itself plural, the acceptance plural, the phones plural. And the other thing apostrophes do is allows us to create contractions, which is basically when we take two words and we mush them into one, and we leave a letter or a sound out of that to make the one word. Some people will tell you that contractions are not appropriate for formal English, but we still use them a lot, so it's important to know how to create them correctly. We use them to show a letter has been omitted. So here are some common examples. I'm not going to read those, but take a moment to look over them. I do want to just highlight the second one on the left column. Could have becomes could have. Sometimes people write this as could of, C-O-U-L-D space O-F, because that's what they hear when someone says could have. And that is incorrect always. You never say could of. It's could have or could have. So it's either could have or the contraction could apostrophe V-E. Those are your only options. These are pretty straightforward until we get to contractions and possessive pronouns. So the dreaded it's, ITS versus IT apostrophe S. Again, the rule is really simple. Nothing changes here. Possessive pronouns do not use apostrophes, and that's why it gets confusing. Possessive pronouns don't use apostrophes, the contractions do. So if you're trying to figure out whether or not you need an apostrophe, take the word, we'll say stick with its for as an example, and make it two words. And then if you would be saying the two words, you need an apostrophe. So my example here is it's purring. Would I say it is purring? I would, so I need an apostrophe. Listen to its purr. Would I say listen to it is purr? I would not, so I do not need an apostrophe. There are some instances in which we use an apostrophe S to create a plural. They're very rare, but it does come up, so it's good to know what you're supposed to do. You use an apostrophe with an S to form the plurals of numbers, symbols, lowercase letters, some uppercase letters, and some words when we're talking about them as words, which basically just helps make it readable when somebody is reading text. So here are some examples that should clarify. Your lowercase i's and capital I's look the same. Imagine there was no apostrophe here. Then it would read your lowercase is and capital is look the same, which doesn't make any sense. Another example, I use the find feature to replace some of the is's in my paper with more active verbs. Again, when I pronounce it, it's fine, but if I'm reading this in writing, it's going to say to replace some of the is in my paper, and that doesn't make sense. That's not a word. Kevin hopes to earn all A's this quarter. This one probably we're safe with, although somebody might read it as a capital as. So again, the apostrophe is needed to help clarify that you have a single letter, not the word itself as. All right, let's do a quick practice. Determine whether or not the apostrophes in the following sentences are correct. If there are errors, make the necessary corrections. So take a moment to go through the sentences and complete the practice, and then restart the video to hear the answers. Number 1, 5 pediatricians practice at my children's doctor's office. Okay, so I want to figure out which words, if any, show ownership here. The first one, pediatricians, is plural because there are 5 of them. So it's not ownership, I don't need an apostrophe. Children's, the word children is plural. And there's an S there. And this is an example of needing an apostrophe to show possession because it's the doctor's office of the children. Okay, now let's look at doctors. In this case, is doctors plural or possessive or both? And in this case, it's both. The office belongs to the doctors. It's the office of the doctors. And there's more than one doctor because the sentence tells us there are 5. So here I'm going to put the apostrophe after the S. Number 2, you're going to regret leaving your sweater in the car. So here I'm looking at the 2 yours and trying to figure out, do I need the contraction or do I need the possessive? The first your, am I trying to say you are? You are going. I am, which means I need the apostrophe. You, apostrophe R-E. Your sweater, am I trying to say you are sweater? Or am I showing ownership? I'm showing ownership, so here I don't do anything. Your is correct, the second your. Number 3, the dog has been playing with its ball for an hour. So the word in question here is its. Am I trying to say it is? The dog has been playing with it is ball for an hour. No, I'm not. I'm trying to show possession. Because possessive pronouns do not take apostrophes, number 3 is correct as it is. Number 4, is this somebody's water bottle? Somebody's. Right now, it looks like the writer tried to make it plural, which you're not actually going to do with somebody's anyway. Somebody's, i.e., s, is not a word. I want to create possession. So to do that, it's somebody, apostrophe s. And finally, Seth and hers goes to travel the world. So here I have a couple of things going on. I have joint possession. It's one goal shared by 2 people. But with that, I have a possessive pronoun. So I need to do a few things. Number 1, I need to add an apostrophe s to Seth. It's Seth's and her goal. So remember that I do not add an apostrophe s to possessive pronouns. But when I have the possessive pronoun showing joint ownership, I do need to add the apostrophe s to all the nouns in that word group.